Hey guys, Brent here from the Red Zone, and this week I want to discuss a big question I get asked a lot, and that is how to structure your training for rugby league. Now, as a rugby league player, we know that we need certain attributes. Being big or just being strong or being fast is not going to make the cut. We need to be the complete package. We need to have mobility, we need to have power and speed, we need to have strength, muscle, core, we need to have conditioning, and we need to be able to recover. Okay? The problem is, how do we fit all of those things into a single training session? How do we make sure that all of those attributes are covered and that we are the complete rugby league player when we hit that football field? So if you stick around, I'm going to show you exactly how to structure your gym training sessions. Okay guys, so what we have here on the board is a typical training session that my guys go through here with me in my gym. So when we first walk in the door, our first step is our mobility and our warm-ups, okay? So that's foam rolling, that's a mixture of dynamic and static stretching and activation exercises, okay? So once we've done a good proper warm-up, we then move on to power and speed movements, okay? So that could be plyometric, that could be dynamic efforts, that could be Olympic lifts, ballistic and contrast training, sprints or sled work, okay? So once we've done our power stuff, we then move on to our strength, okay? That works really well because our central nervous system is really fired up and we can get more out of our max effort lifts, okay? So our strength work is our max effort lifts, as I've said in the previous video, is our 90% of our 1 rep max repetitions, okay? Or we could be doing more dynamic work, which is between 40 and 70% of our 1 RM. Fillers is a more mobility work that we will do in between our rest periods of either the max effort or dynamic lifts, okay? So still working on more mobility. So once our warm-ups, our power and our strength training is done, we then move on to hypertrophy or muscle, okay? So building muscle to me is very, very important, and maintaining that muscle is very, very important. What usually happens through the year is bodybuilding training gets left out the window, okay? It's all about strength and power, and that's great, but you're gonna lose all the size that you built up in pre-season training, okay? Imagine a balloon. You blew so much air into a balloon and then all of a sudden you're letting the air out slowly, okay? So that balloon is gonna deflate, and that is exactly what happens to your muscles. So finding a way that we can pump as much volume into our training in that single session as we can. I like to utilize a lot of supersets, giant sets, rest pause methods, on the minute, every minute sessions, and drop sets, okay? And the list goes on, there's about 1 million others that I do as well. But getting the volume into your session to maintain that muscle mass or even to gain more muscle mass is a big thing. Most of the guys I train get bigger as the year goes on, okay? So I refuse to believe that you need to get smaller as the year goes on. So once our bodybuilding training is done, we move on to core work. So it might be static or dynamic core exercises, stability and movement core exercises, and all rotational core strength exercises, okay? So that is all of that in a nutshell. We've got our mobility, our power, our strength, our bodybuilding, and our core work. All things that we need to be doing every session, every week in the gym, okay? Conditioning. Now this is something that will come down to in the individual, okay, or the time of season. So pre-season, I will have conditioning in the end of my sessions for the guys, okay? So that's our fitness, all right? So whether we do circuits, complexes, ladders, ropes, sleds, something to get our heart rate flying, okay? So something to really work on that fitness, so when you go back to football training, you don't look like a big slug, okay? And who can't even run a lap, okay? Or no matter what time of season it is, if it's an individual who lacks fitness, then we're going to have their conditioning at the end, okay? Recovery, that could be more mobility work, that could be hydration, a slow walk or a jog, it could be going for a swim or hot or cold water therapy, food and supplements, okay? So we always have to have a recovery plan in place to make sure that we're ready for our next training session. Now guys, if there's one thing I want to drill through your head now, and that is that we are not bodybuilders, we're rugby league players, okay? So every attribute we've talked about, whether it's speed, power, strength, size, mobility, okay? We need all of those factors. We just don't need a set of big arms, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to stop doing your body part splits. So no bicep and tricep days, no calf and hamstring days, okay? You have not got the time in your training week to do all of those things and get all of this stuff into your training sessions, okay? I like to do upper and lower body splits. I find that you get the adequate amount of time to get all of those attributes into a single training session, okay? Full body can work as well, but I tend to go for the lower or the upper body splits. So that's it, guys. Hopefully this has been some kind of a help to you. This is how I train all the guys here with me in the gym. This is how I program everything on rugbyleaguestrengthcoach.com. If you have any questions, feel free to post or private message me. Thanks, guys.